A couple of things before I start. This is my first ever Apple Watch, as I said in my unboxing and first impressions video that I did a little over a month ago. Now, I have used this watch ever since, making it my actual daily wearable, and even if I haven't used all of the features, I've really come to appreciate much of what the Apple Watch offers. Because the other thing I wanted to mention is that I initially looked at the Apple Watch SE as just an easy way for me to keep up with my friends who were all in an iMessage group chat that I was not checking often enough. Now, simple thing, I know, but it was important to me. So any experience that excelled beyond that one specific task was probably going to impress me, and obviously, it ended up doing way more than that. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here are my complaints and takeaways with the Apple Watch SE. Speaking of accessorizing, if you're a glasses wearer like me, you can get your style up with returning sponsor GlassesUSA.com. You've been seeing me wear a few of their high-quality pairs for a while now, and you can get an update to your own style by checking the links in the description. All kinds of styles can match up with the look of, let's say, a customized Apple Watch SE. You can go classic, like with my go-to Ray-Bans for that black on anything look, or you can go for a more formal cold weather look with my half-rimmed glasses by Muse. Muse pairs also have a great little phrase in the arms. It says, "in the eyes of the creator." You can see how that would really appeal to me. And of course, there are what I call the uncle glasses that I usually pair with a beanie that matches right up with my green loop band on the Apple Watch. You can get a complete pair with included basic prescription starting at $30. Shopping at GlassesUSA.com also carries a risk-free guarantee. Shipping and returns are free, and if you're not happy with your pair, you can get a full refund within 14 days of the original delivery. All pairs come with a 365-day product warranty, so check out GlassesUSA.com for yourself. The link is in the description below. Before I dive in, let me just tell you to keep an eye on the corner so you know when I'm actually using footage taken with the iPhone 12 Pro. Okay, let's start off with something fairly obvious. This is something I've said before, and it has hardly changed even until now. I have never liked the look of the Apple Watch. Now, while I can't really talk because I was once a big fan of the Pebble, I would argue that the Pebble did a better job of leaning into its quirky design and branding. Meanwhile, the Apple Watch always has to have the term watch in its branding and marketing. It's always trying to remind us that it is a watch, when I really think that there are better smart devices out there that do a better job of evoking the watch style. This is partly semantics and partly petty, I'll admit, but no matter how much the Apple Watch has become normalized in our everyday lives and thus is no longer an eyesore, I still can't say that this is my favorite looking watch. It is a sleek wearable with a bit more focus on the function than the form, but I learned real quickly that there is a secret sauce to the Apple Watch SE. You see, getting the smaller 40mm Apple Watch SE turned out to be the right move because putting some accessories on it means overall body and size does not get out of hand or out of wrist. Seriously though, we all know that the Apple Watch, and really Apple devices, come with some of the best third-party accessory support. So despite my thoughts regarding the look of the Apple Watch, I knew that with a little bit of experimentation, I might make this a great-looking piece of tech. Just a cursory search on Amazon reveals a treasure trove of accessories that all add style to something that might just be otherwise a black or silver slab on your wrist. Apple's own new accessories like the loop or the braided loop are really good starts, but then you can get into things like adapters where you can actually use watch straps, and you can get into third-party loops so you can save a little bit of money. And beyond that, you can get into cases that dramatically change the colorway. Some of you even saw that I found some pretty fun mounts for the Apple Watch charger. The possibilities aren't endless, but there are so many options that can actually separate you from the multitudes of people who are wearing Apple Watches in the wild. Even people around me wondered what new wearable was on my wrist rather than immediately noticing that it was an Apple Watch. The experience of the Apple Watch comes down to way more than just the typical watch functions like the face, the timer, the alarm, the calendar. I mean, just hitting the crown would bring up a whole world of possibilities because more than any other smartwatch, it's about the apps. The apps make the experience. Not just the fact that there are smaller versions of the apps you might already have on your phone, but more that the way they are presented on the Apple Watch just hits different. And I think the reason why this is significant is because it feels like everything has some sort of weight to it. The haptics of the Apple Watch are well known by now. It's not just a vibrating motor in there, it's actually tuned in a way that it feels like something is pressing down on your wrist, tapping you to get your attention. There is a speaker on the watch and it's just loud enough that it can get other people's attention, but I personally keep it around 60% volume. But then each app and each function has a different haptic pattern or strength and oftentimes a different ringtone, making it so that your own memory will just tell you what notification you might be waiting for. Something from, let's say, Apple News will typically get ignored, but if I see the Telegram icon all over my screen, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. It's subtle but significant. The crown, a thing that I feel like should be on most wearables these days, is easy to turn even with a case on, but then the haptics give it further feedback so you can feel the scroll. And then if you go deeper into the complications of certain watch faces, you're literally setting your priorities. You're customizing the weight of the shortcuts across your setup. And as you explore a bit through the watchOS software, you can find so many other ways that the haptics can work for you. Just a few examples include like the vibration motor working as a great silent alarm to wake me up in the morning. There are new functions like the hand washing that make that task more engaging and easier to build as a habit. And then of course there's the semi-nightly chime that tells me that the battery is low. All of these things warrant the right amount of attention without being overtly distracting. Now I mean it when I say the low battery notification is important because it's something that I have to look out for every single day. Since I use the sleep and alarm features every night, I'm usually draining like a third of the battery life by wearing the watch to bed each night. After that, it's a matter of how much the watch is being used for notifications and apps, but I have found in general that the Apple Watch requires some time on the charger pretty much every day. Now moving into other experiences with the watch, I'll start off by admitting right now that I have not exercised as much as I know I should, and I have been beating myself up for it. With that said though, whenever I do fill in literally any circle on the Apple Watch, it's kind of a good time. It's just weird that the stand circle seems to fill when I know I'm not standing as much as it claims I have. There have been times when I'm literally sitting or even lying down and I get a notification about the stand circle and I'm like, you sure about that watch? I'm pretty certain that the step counting is pretty decent, and the GPS definitely helps when you get into actual cardio or distance-based exercise routines. And there are a few anecdotes since the Apple Watch first implemented heart monitoring saying that people got checked when the watch found anomalies, and sure enough, it helped them prevent a further problem from happening. Now this is the SE of course, so I don't have things like the EKG or the blood oxygen level sensors that might be nice for those of you who really want to have those metrics on hand on demand. Where I don't find the watch is really excelling is in the sleep tracking, which is a relatively new feature that Apple has been touting on the current generation of watches. It's a fairly robust system that includes the wind down and the do not disturb turning on automatically based on your defined bedtime. But once you do feel the vibration and hear the sounds waking you up, there's not a whole lot of info to go on after that. Now this is coming from someone who has used apps like Sleep as Android or has used smart wearables like this Oura Ring to get even more information regarding my deep sleep, my light sleep, my REM sleep, or, at best, to get some advice on what to do in order to improve my sleep. But on the current implementation on the Apple Watch, you just don't get a whole lot. I would really love to see this get better in the future, even though I definitely use my Oura and my watch together as far as accessories go, these two make a pretty good pair. So as I talk about applications, it's clear that watchOS continues to be the most supported operating system when it comes to wearables. It's a hard truth for someone like me that prefers Android phones on the daily, but when it comes time for me to just wear a smart wearable that works for me, it's just easier to build that experience with the Apple Watch. You know that old adage that people say that the iPhone just works while the Android phone allows you more customization? I actually kind of find it to be the other way around when you compare watchOS to Wear OS. And this is thanks to apps like Authy, or the reliable camera app that includes a viewfinder, Apple Pay, Simple Fasting. These are just a few examples of the kinds of apps that I have found on the Apple Watch to work well enough to justify having this on my wrist every day. Now, can you get the same experience on Wear OS with these apps? Probably, in most cases, but consider one thing for a second. YouTube Music is supported on watchOS before it was even released and supported on Wear OS. For a YouTube addict and now a former Google Play Music user like me, that kind of paints the picture pretty well, I think. So clearly, I have found myself really enamored with my time with the Apple Watch SE. Every time Apple puts those two letters at the end of new products, my eyebrows raise up because I'm all for the historically expensive devices getting some more affordable variants. Now, from what I understand, this Apple Watch SE strikes the middle ground between the cheaper, older Apple Watches and the blood oxygen sensing always-on display having Apple Watch 6. I think that's all fine. The fitness features are passable for a wearable and should never be considered as full medical grade anyway. And I would actually argue that an always-on display is kind of moot, because when you raise your wrist up to look at the time or at a notification, that's when the screen should activate anyway. Now what the Apple Watch SE truly is then, is the gateway drug into the cliched Apple walled garden. It's the first step for someone like me that is notoriously an Android-heavy user, or it can be for someone who hasn't yet gone in on wearables. Both those types of users can get that taste of a level of integration that only Apple's ecosystem truly provides, and the attention to detail that has been put into every experience of a well-tuned watchOS experience. I've heard a lot of people say that while they might use a PC or an Android phone, one thing they all agree on is that the Apple Watch is in a league of its own. It's the forbidden fruit that got some people in and solidified others' already Apple-forward position. And you know what? I get it now. For around or under $300, depending on the size and the band you get, you can experience Apple's wearable without breaking the bank as badly as before. And you know what? You might be like me, thinking I would return it after a couple of weeks, but now we're over a month in, and my watch tan is starting to get a little worse. And so, there you have it, my thoughts on the Apple Watch SE. This is a video I never thought I would make, especially one with this much praise for Apple's wearable, which I kind of kept myself from actually experiencing. But now that I have, I can see why some people just love having the Apple Watch in general, even if they may not be the biggest fans of the rest of Apple's ecosystem. I want to know if you got an Apple Watch SE. What size did you get? What band are you using? Let me know what accessories you might be using as well, because there are a ton of them for this watch. I have a bunch already. Also, don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video, GlassesUSA.com. If you head into the description, there will be a link there, as well as links to all of the glasses that I featured in this video. Thanks again to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video. From there though, let me know what your experience has been like with the Apple Watch SE. Get into the comment sections down below, have those discussions, or at the very least, just drop some likes on this video. From there, you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And yeah, from there, I'm going to call it on this one. Take care of yourselves and each other. And until my next video, I'll just remind you to enjoy your tea, everybody.